What's up, guys? Like I said, I'm going to bring you guys books by or about some black people this week. I mean, Black History Month, yeah, but this isn't Black History. Today, I am talking about a current black star at this point, superstar at this point, and that is Issa Rae in her book, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. And I always forget that purposefully the title is awkward. The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, not Misadventures of the Awkward Black. I don't know, but it was a funny book. I'm sorry if the screen is messing it up in any type of way. These colors probably aren't perfect for green screen material, but either way, let's get started. So per usual, I'm going to talk about when I read it and the medium. It's clearly the physical book, a soft copy, like a softback. Paperback? I'm tripping. Paperback copy, and I finished it March 10th, 2022, so it's been a little while since I read this one. I read this one when I had the job that was a couple hours away via train, and I had so much time to consume books. But I remember it well because it was impactful. At the point of reading this, I had never seen an episode of Insecure, I don't think, or anything else she had been in up until that point. I often will go to like used bookstores and just search for titles and covers that look interesting to me, especially in the memoir section, especially in the entertainer sections, especially in like the comedy section, because I want to see, I'm interested in comedians. I like to laugh. I like when their books are funny. I like when their stories are funny, and I like seeing how they got where they are. I like to talk on screen. I like to talk to you guys, so I want to see try to entertain you guys. So I want to see what these entertainers be doing. So let me get into my main takeaway from Issa Rae's book. Main takeaways, that is. I have multiple. So my first main takeaway is that there are many ways to make it, especially now. So Issa Rae is someone who now has multiple shows on HBO, who is an accomplished writer, who has helped write movies, who has done voiceovers in animated films. She's done so much, and she started as a YouTube writer, essentially. She started a YouTube/Facebook series that blew up early in her career. I mean, that's how she blew up, and that's how she transferred over to HBO. So the way that most of these people that I've read about and know about get these shows on HBO is either you're famous already, and so you got a show with your namesake, or you write for another show and you slowly work your way up. Like if you learned about Donald Glover, you know about Donald Glover. Like he wrote for 30 Rock, and then he wrote for another sitcom, I believe, and then he slowly got to where he is now in writing major network television. Issa Rae invested in herself and wrote her own show, made her own drama, and was a proven writer just off of like a Facebook/YouTube show. So in the modern day with the internet, there's very few excuses for us. There are very few excuses for us. That's something I always want to remember. And when I read this, I realized if you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. And that leads me into my next point, which is work with what you have. She spoke about in the book how her first show, she had a lot of actors that were her friends, people she knew, people from around the community. Granted, she didn't live in Des Moines, Iowa. She didn't live in Lincoln, Nebraska. She was living between New York and LA. She's originally from the LA area, or at least spent a lot of her childhood, and her father lives in the LA area. So she was in the area that was perfect to find actors and actresses. But she didn't have a budget. And so, she's around them, but she's not getting high-profile actors and actresses right out the gate. But she was willing to work with more novice actors and actresses, worked more horizontally, which she talked about in here. Everybody wants to work up. Why not just work with the people around you? Work with the people that you can touch, the people that are close to you, not give yourself an excuse when I'll make an album when I can work with Jay-Z. No, work with the producer that doesn't have anything. Work with the web designer who's trying to build his portfolio, So there's ways of using damn near your novice as an advantage, because you can find other novices that are willing to work with you for a cheap price. Next is to be yourself. Issa Rae hasn't really, over the course of her career, seemingly at least presented herself as something she's not. I mean, even calling herself an awkward black girl and having her first series be about her being an awkward black girl and just like some life experiences and stuff like that. And how even in her modern day shows on Insecure and stuff like that, she doesn't seem like she presents herself as something she's not. It's always seemed authentic, and I feel like that's why she's been able to have this success pretty fairly early in her life. Like, she's not an old woman by any stretch of the imagination, so I think that authenticity people feel because she's really in the comedy sector. She makes comedy shows, and to get there without being a stand-up first takes talent. That's just a fact. Most of the people that we see on TV and the funniest people you know of started out in stand-up. That's just the trek to being in comedy. And for her to do it without being a stand-up, while being an actress or being a writer and now a producer, it's an impressive trek that she's gone on. And lastly, the last main takeaway is to take risks, but it's okay to go back. So she tells a story about going to New York, getting robbed by these kids in New York, losing all her money, not really being able to land on her feet out there, being miserable, and she felt like a failure having to like crawl back, essentially, quote unquote, crawl back to LA, back to where her father is, and try to get the support that she needed and be around people that she knew. And it ended up being a great choice for her. But she originally took the risk to go to New York. And now she can write about going to New York in her book. Now she can talk about the failure, the success, or the fear and all that because she took that risk. It's not a story of maybe if I had gone to New York, something else would have worked out. No. It was I went to New York, I tried it, I wrote, I worked. She had a job there and she was growing, but not in the way she just wasn't comfortable. She wanted to go back home. And so it's okay to return back home. It's okay to kind of renege on the dreams that you set out, but it's not necessarily okay to just not try them at all. And so I respect the fact that she's a risk taker. I respect the fact that even with some uncertainty, she took the leap, and even though it didn't work out, she's willing to tell us about it, and she's no doubt a better artist because of the attempt. So next I'm gonna get into who it's for. First and foremost, it's fans of her and her shows. Clearly it's about Issa Rae, it's about her background, and it's up until she was writing Insecure, so it's now missing a good amount of years and a good amount of stuff that she's been in. But it's great foundational reading if you're interested in Issa Rae, and I'm inspired by her. So it was good. It was good reading for me. If you're an aspiring writer, she wrote shows and self-produced shows at the beginning, and if you want that inspiration to know that it's possible without a big budget, that it's possible kind of grinding, that it's possible just trying different things, I suggest it. Sometimes what you need is to hear a story of somebody else who did what you want to do, and you can steal from them like in terms of like their process, and then mold it to yourself. So I think this is a great book to do that with. Aspiring comedians, actors / actresses, if you're looking to get into that field, she's at the highest level right now. She's writing, she's producing, she's acting, she's funny, she's at a high level of content creation at this point. So whether you like her content or not, she's to be respected in how far she's come. And I do want to add on, I do want to read more books by women. I've noticed that a lot of my books, and I can call myself out for this, are definitely written by men. And definitely multiple races of men. Like, I'm not just sticking to one race, but I liked reading and learning about her childhood and kind of seeing how similar, with how open she was, how similar her childhood was with my childhood even. I mean, we're born like middle class Black Americans pretty much. So it would make sense that we had kind of similar backgrounds, but it's still interesting getting that perspective from a Black female artist. And I enjoyed that. And because I've read others. The last book review I did, a couple book reviews I did, was by Kendra Hall, and getting storytelling lessons from a woman and just her perspective. I think it's important to get these different inputs from these different people that can teach you from a whole different perspective than just what we may have already assumed or believe. So if you're a black male like me, or a man in general, and you just want to take in a new perspective, or just a different race from Issa Rae, and you want to hear a new perspective from her, and you want to laugh and you want to enjoy stories, I think this is for you too. But that's just for all books, not all books, but a lot of books. I think it's very important for us to expose ourselves to ideas, ideologies, and people that are just completely different from us. And she's not completely different from me, but like, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. And then if you're the last person, I would say it is Black History Month. If you're a reader of Black excellence, if you want to read about Black successful people who have been very successful in their field, I wouldn't say she came from nothing, but she is a self-made entertainer, that's for sure. She's not like a Nepo baby or anything like that. Like, she created herself, she's created the show, she's written, she's created the aura of herself now with how she dresses and how she be out, and just how people know Issa Rae. Like, she's created this image, and it's a very cool image to be displayed, and she's doing some really, really cool stuff. Guys, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. I cannot forget to say what I'm going to walk away with from this book. What I'm going to walk away with is work with what you've got. You can't wait till you have more. More will come to you when you're ready for it. More will come to you when you've put in the work to get there. But start with what you've got. Grow. And I feel like we'd be surprised what can happen. It's been another episode of GP's Library. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. The Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. I think many of you will enjoy it. I'll see you guys next time.